Hello, this is James Graff with Advisors Mortgage Group with another Mortgage Minutes with an S. We're going to discuss an article by John Stoll in the Wall Street Journal. I believe it's titled, "Can a Bike Shop Ride Out the Pandemic?" I have my answer in my head already. I think the whole thing is extremely biased against mom and pops and towards big business, big money. The most profitable businesses are the ones that are receiving all the advantage. To my personal mind, this is not Advisors Mortgage Group's opinion whatsoever, and it's not the opinions of the people I'm about to discuss who have written articles on this topic. So let's, with that, keep that in mind. I will interject my opinion periodically. It'll be my opinion only, and I'll let you know. To understand how the pandemic is really affecting small businesses, quote, "I went to the guy who sells bikes to my family," unquote. This is according to John Stoll. John Hughes runs the downtown Ferndale bike shop and downtown Detroit bike shop. These days, quote, "his stores are packed with beat-up Schwinn's, Treks, and Bianchis," I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, unquote, "in need of repairs. The fix-it jobs are, quote, helping his enterprise survive. But they are, quote, a Band-Aid for a broken business model," unquote. Those are his words. It can take a mechanic a full day's work to earn as much as a single high-end bike sale. But the pandemic has made new bikes almost impossible to find. Quote, unquote, "supply chain kinks," unquote, and production delays in China, where most new inventory is made, have held up deliveries until 2021. One day recently, Hughes even discovered his store had exhausted its supply of, quote, 26-inch tire tubes, a popular size that has never been out of stock since he opened, unquote, in 2010. So, here I'm injecting my opinion. So we're looking at supply chain problems, not caused deliberately by competitors or higher-end businesses, but nevertheless, where's the relief? Is the relief going to the small mom and pops, or is the relief going to the big campaign donors and the people who send lobbyists en masse to governments all over the world, really? Let's read some more of what he's saying. This is by John Stoll. Quote, "I'm running out of stuff to sell," unquote. Can't run a business without stuff, right? Said Hughes, the owner, who received a $20,000 loan from the Paycheck Protection Program, PPP, that quickly proved to be, quote, a drop in a bucket. So it's one drop in a bucket that's destroying your roof, basically. The roof is about to come down. That's my interjection, sorry. He's actually hired more mechanics, but, quote, "shipping rates have gone up. Margins on new products have gone down," unquote. "And a busy bike shop without bikes to sell can, quote, only pay the bills for so long," unquote. So we're looking at this all over our economy. Again, I like to point to the elephant in the room. We saw the worst GDP decrease quarter in the history of GDP quarters for the United States. The worst in history. You have to go back to times when we didn't even take GDP. I believe before 1875. You're looking at over 150 years of data. This has been the worst. And what is being done at the state level, at the federal level? I believe in protecting the individuals and the individuals' businesses. I personally, this is my opinion, not advisors, not anybody at the Wall Street Journal's, my opinion, corporations are not people. They are groups of people with about as much rights as a group of people should have. I could form a group. These are groups of people that make money for a living, that are get together, they conspire, and they talk in boardrooms secretly to try to take money from other people. Not take money, but legally, hopefully. They also conspire to give money to campaign funds and they conspire to send lobbyists to governments all over the world, but particularly to the U.S. government. So I'm not fond I'm fond of corporations. I'm just not fond of the powers that they have gleaned for themselves over decades and decades, centuries really. They've amassed too much power to themselves, as can be witnessed by the huge international conglomerates. They're not U.S. companies. They're international conglomerates that are selling stocks on our stock exchanges, taking advantage of our infrastructure, which is quite vast and kept up by U.S. citizens, individuals who run companies for themselves, who are trying to compete but cannot in this environment. Do I blame the large companies for causing the pandemic? In a word, yes. A pandemic is caused by lack of a rapid or quick rapid testing, rapid response. That didn't happen. Why didn't it happen? Because companies, international companies, made efforts so that it wouldn't happen. Our federal and state governments are affected by the companies that fund their campaigns and send lobbyists to those entities, and thereby control whether we get rapid testing back in, like, starting in January and February. Rapid testing, rapid response. Didn't happen. So did they cause the pandemic? I would say, in a word, yes. They caused us to, if we had a rapid response and a rapid testing and rapid response, which we still don't have. We don't have enough testing, tracing, isolating. Where's that? Why aren't the companies taking their profits and putting money into that to save American lives? Because they're international companies. They have no interest in that. They have interest in capitalizing on any situation which appears before them. So that's a horrific opinion that I have. It's simplistic. You can say that they didn't cause the COVID, perhaps, and they didn't cause the pandemic, perhaps, but they are definitely profiting from it. That's clear. It's obvious, painfully obvious, that they are soaring in price and profiting from the conditions. And I would add to that they are conspiring to prolong and increase the depth of the problems and conditions. That's a bad thing. That's very, very bad. And it's bad for me to say that because it's not the opinion of advisors. It's not the opinion of the Wall Street Journal, certainly, which is, I believe, controlled by News Corp and Rupert Murdoch. Some good articles out of there. I've been reading the paper since I was a teenager. But I've seen it turn right. It's turned right. And it's become biased. It's become political. News, especially business news, should analyze politics unbiasedly, or it's not really worthy. So check your bias. I check my bias. You hear my bias when I speak. I clearly state my bias. So moving on, we can move on to more articles. I will move on to the next article, which is interesting as well. This talks about 401k needs a big overhaul. Sounds like an article I would agree with. Anyone might agree with that. It's by Aaron Brown, and it's in Bloomberg.com. Bloomberg seems to tilt a little bit to the left, maybe? Yeah, left. So we had one from the right, one to the left. The one from the right was actually arguing for mom and pops. So good stuff. Anyway, we've reached a point where quote, 401ks no longer make sense for savers, unquote. That's a bad trend. This is according to Aaron Brown, Bloomberg.com. The advantages of the tax-deferred defined contribution plan rested on factors that, quote, have changed dramatically, unquote. For the worse, I should say. But we'll read more. That's me. Since the 401k was created in 1978. 40 years ago, the tax deferral for a worker with 30 years to retirement, when the marginal federal income tax rate was 43% and interest rates were about 15%, quote, was equivalent to an additional investment return of 9.2% per year, unquote. Does everyone follow the math there? Tax rate 43% high, interest rate 15% high. It was equivalent to an investment return of 9.2%. That's good. Today, quote, for a median income married couple with 2 children, unquote, the tax rate on income is the same as is likely to be in retirement, and the benefit of a meager 0.6% or worse, given the reasonable fear that today's low tax rates will rise before participants retire. All bad trends, I should say, but we'll talk about that later. Rising taxes are a necessary evil created by the previous decades of decadence. Anyway, we're moving on. That's my opinion. Meanwhile, investment fees in ordinary accounts have declined much faster than those for 401ks. Interesting. Typically, managed accounts now charge just 0.5%. 401ks are stuck at 3 times that. So we're looking at 1.5%. I'm not sure what he's saying there. One fix for these accounts is to make withdrawals in retirement tax-free for households with below median incomes. A progressive idea from Bloomberg.com. Makes sense. Progressive. Liberal. Another idea, eliminate payroll taxes on contributions. Interesting idea. I'm just reading this for the first time. Nobody wants to discourage workers from using 401ks. That's, of course. And, quote, exacerbate the middle class savings problem, unquote. That's an opinion. Is there a problem in the savings? Of course there is. Debt is ballooning out of control. I shouldn't talk about that. We're trying to control debt, keep debt under. So savings is a good thing. But 401ks need some major changes before savers notice that they no longer offer much benefit and abandon them. So it's almost a fallacy. What he's saying is that 401ks, the benefit isn't there anymore, and people haven't really realized that yet. It is a problem coming down the pike as more and more people come to understand how 401ks work and how they're supposed to work and how they're not working anymore. And he recommends 2 things, which I'd like to discuss a little bit further. He says to make the withdrawals in retirement. Withdrawals in retirement should be tax-free for households below median incomes. Tax break, of course, give the lower medium people below median income tax breaks. That makes sense to me, of course. That's progressive. They could use it, I'm sure, in retirement. That's one of the problems with people trying to retire. Of course, I'm kind of for the idea of convincing people not to retire, but also supplementing their income in their golden years. Another idea, to eliminate payroll taxes on contributions. That is hard for me to speak to. Eliminate contributions. Yeah, it's another tax break. So 2 tax breaks to encourage 401ks. The problem here is this is my editorializing, in my opinion. The problem is there's so many systems that are dysfunctional at this point in time that to fix one, you need to fix more. You have to go up the road and fix all the other problems that are causing this problem. Lower savings. We need to increase the savings rate. How do you do that? By improving interest rates, which won't be improved for quite some time, as far as I can see. People are talking about the Fed's rate remaining where it is roughly until 2021 and possibly 2022. So we're looking at rough times ahead. How to behave in low interest rate environments is a topic for another video, continuing video series. I'd love to help you. My name's James Graff. If you have any questions regarding these topics or any other topics, I would love to discuss them with you at length. I'd love to help. It's been another Mortgage Minute brought to you by Advisors Mortgage Group. None of my opinions or the opinions in this video can be attributed to advisors. And with that, I thank you for listening thus far and hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day. Thanks again.